Hello, guys. Hi, this is Ganesh Naik. I help finance professionals and students to excel in their career and become a better version of themselves. And I also help students preparing for FRM and CFA exam. I'm back with one of my students' interview. He has been able to clear the May 2023 FRM Level 1 exam. He was a part of my video lecture package, and he's going to be talking about his journey of preparation, what challenges he faced, how he was able to manage those challenges and clear the exam. So we have with us Samarth. First of all, Samarth, thank you very much for taking out time and talking to us. And if you can give a brief about yourself in the sense, before when you started the preparation, what were you doing?
Sure, sir. Thank you for having me here. My name is Samarth Khurana, and I just started working last year at Deloitte USA in the model risk management team.
Mhm.
Prior to that, I just completed my master's in economics from IFT Delhi in 2022. I also have a bachelor's in economics from Delhi University, which I completed in 2020. So the rationale behind pursuing this course, because like I had specialized in finance in my master's, so I was kind of developing my interest in this field. But when I
Okay.
got placed in Deloitte USA, so um, I felt like I was not entirely sure because I hadn't started working till then, so I didn't know what the corporate world or what kind of work I would be doing when I start working. But when I started working, I realized what I do. I need to have good conceptual knowledge about all the financial markets and derivatives. So I felt
Got it.
FRM is the right course for me as it would help me increase my conceptual knowledge. So I decided to go for that during my first year of job. Yeah.
Okay. And then when did you start your preparation with us?
So I joined in November 2022. So that's when
Okay.
I contacted you and took the videos. So then
Okay.
I started working on that. Yeah.
And when you got the videos, what was the number of hours that you started putting in every single day?
So on an average, like at that point in time, I did have a lot of time on my hands. So I was on an average, I was giving 2 to 3 hours uh, uh, daily on the videos and making sure that I am noting down each and every concept. So it was time consuming as well, like because I was devoting 3 hours, I was taking care of all the notes and stuff. So I felt
Mhm.
like it was taking me more time. Like somebody like might have done it faster than me, but I was making sure that I have all the notes in place and giving it as much
Okay.
time as I can. So,
And the order of preparation, you were following the week by week order, or you changed
right.
it?
No, so it was the videos that you have aligned them in such a way, right? The concepts are clubbed together from different books. So I did follow that entire series. I didn't mess
Okay.
up with that. But yeah, I was reading and I was watching your videos as well as reading the books as well. So that was going side by side, and I was making my own personal detailed notes, not like you suggested in making very high level notes. But
Yeah.
I felt like because that's how I've been studying for last in my masters and bachelor, so that was kind of suited to me. So I made detailed
Okay.
notes as well. So yeah.
Okay. And uh, from that day, I mean, there was consistency entirely, or did you face any patch of time where you said no, because there was no consistency in your preparation, or there was a delay?
So yeah, I started in November, like I mentioned. So I would say November and December, like it takes time to get used to to get to the studying, making time, and making sure that you're devoting that much of a time, right? So November and December was kind of a slow. I was just getting into the habit of making sure to devote that much of a time. By January, it was
Mhm.
more streamlined. So I had like a set interval of times during the day when I knew that I'm going to devote to studies. But I guess that's the process. Like it takes you some time to get into that mindset. And by January, I
Right.
was there, and then it got streamlined towards the final steps, the preparations.
Okay. Okay. And then, uh, how when did you complete your overall reading of the all 62 chapters?
So I'd say for me, I targeted February end to complete one time entire reading with notes
Mhm.
that I was creating for myself, but I was not able to do that. I think it stressed another 10 days. So by March 10, I was done by entire reading. And then I had a call with you and I started revising because obviously the first concept that I read was back in November, right? So I needed to go back and revise those concepts as well. So I then after March 10th, I then started revising again and started solving questions as well.
Got it. Got it. Okay. And the chapter-wise question you started after completion of All the chapters reading, or you were doing it simultaneously?
In November, December, I was not really doing attempting the questions. I was doing the Schweitzer question, but that was really like easy ones to tackle. So after December, I realized right, because there are a few concepts that are given in Schweitzer and you might have explained, but when you are attempting questions, you get to know a few more concepts, right? Like it might be framed differently, or question, the kind of question that usually comes in exam. So
Hmm.
by December end, I realized that I need to do that. So by December, I started, every time I was doing a chapter, I made sure to attempt the questions.
Hmm.
So I didn't go for the question bank. So that's one of the mistake that I feel I did. I should have gone that for earlier. But yeah, it eventually like went in my favor. But then if I would go back and change something, I would definitely try and attempt as many questions as I can.
So you didn't solve chapter-wise question for all the chapters, is it? Or
Uh,
you?
I did, but it was like after March, once I was done with the
Acha.
preparations
Okay,
one
you
time.
started out very late. Okay.
Yeah, I started out very late, and I discovered that there are a lot of concepts that are framed differently in the questions or a bit twisted, right?
Hmm.
So that kind of, when I did those question bank, and I was like, oh, I don't know this concept, right? So that kind of get my morale down as well. But then I realized that's how it works, right? Questions are not going to be as straightforward from the book. You need to practice them as well. So that is something I wish I could have done earlier, but yeah, it worked out in the end, so that's fine.
Okay. 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 And then when you were preparing for the exam, okay, then which book you felt that was very tough for you?
Um, I'd say book four.
Okay. 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 And what about book two? You had some you had some economics background, so stats was not a problem.
Yeah, the stats were not a problem for me. Even in book three,
Okay.
because I had specialized in finance in my masters, so all those strategies and stuff I had already done. So it was like I was already done with the basics. Obviously, like you
Okay.
need to memorize all those things, right? In a very detailed manner, so I didn't attend the question. So it took me some time, but it was not like I was not aware of the concept. So book four was completely new for me. So that is where it took me a little time. And book one, I would say, specifically from the point that it was entirely theoretical. So you'll have to be sure when you're attempting the question, right? So that is where I found book one tricky,
Mhm.
to make sure that you're selecting the right MCQ. So that was tricky on the part of book one, because book two was entirely, not entirely, but you can expect a lot of mathematical questions from book two. So you know whether you're answering it right or not, right? You know the formula, and you can just make sure that you're doing it
Got
rightly.
it.
But when it comes to theory, it gets a little bit tricky. So yeah, book four, it was like
Was a
a little
problem.
bit.
Slightly
It was,
challenging for you.
yeah,
Okay.
it was new, so it was slightly challenging. Yeah.
And then did you got opportunity to solve any mock papers before the exam?
Like I said, I attempted those questions there lately. I attempted your questions first, the Fintelligent question bank. I went through the entire thing, but by then I was kind of really very exhausted. In the last week, I opened the GAP sample papers. I solved one paper, not entirely like devoting 4 hours, because that is the good exercise to do. To be honest, like you devote the time and you make sure how much you're scoring, right? But I just went through it in a very quick manner, and I was just checking on my part, like how much do I understand from the paper and how much I could solve. But yeah, a lot of questions was like, okay, I can solve these questions. I was comfortable with the kind of questions that were asked in the sample paper, because I guess the question bank that you provided covered all of those questions as well. So I didn't feel like it was difficult than what the question that I had already done in their concepts. So I didn't go for question bank 2 because I was already exhausted by then, and I decided to sit for the exam. So
Okay. And then when you went to the exam on the day, what happened in that first 1 hour when you started solving?
um, So I would say first hour went by pretty easily. I was
Okay.
not really panicked at that point in time. Obviously, like there was a few questions that I was not entirely sure about, but majority of them I had the answers. I know what I was doing, and I was like 80 to 90% sure with for every question which I was answering, that okay, this is the right answer for me to do. So first I was completely fine. Like didn't face any issues in the first hour.
Okay, okay, got it. And then you did you solve everything in time? That 100
Yeah,
question in 4 hours?
so it got tricky towards the end. So towards
Mhm,
the end, like there were a few questions that are left in between as well. Like I remember four to five. Like I remember when last half an hour was left, I was up till 85 question number because there are 100 questions, right? And
mhm.
prior to that, I had left good 5 to 10 questions that I was not entirely sure of. And the thing that problematic for me at that point in time was because post 85, I had questions from binomial tree, so and that was quite lengthy when it comes to solving that. So it was entirely you have to do entirely from the scratch. They had not given us any values as such, like to make the calculations easier for us. So I knew if I
Mhm.
start solving the binomial tree question, it will take me time, like at least 5 to 10 minutes, right? So at that point in time, I had to take a
Okay,
call to make sure, like I don't want to miss 5 questions just because to attempt one question, because either way the marking is going to be same for them. I would rather attempt 5 questions than to leave the one with binomial tree because it would take. So at that time, I had to take a call, and I went for the ones that I felt I could solve quickly and correctly. So I would say I was able to solve questions between 85 to 90. 10 questions I left. So yeah, I was able to go to that corner, but yeah, it I wasn't able to solve the entire thing, and uh, time management really sort of got problematic for me towards the end.
and how many theory, how many calculation questions were there?
It was 35, 65. I was not really expecting that much to be mathematical, but it was quite mathematical for me. But there were some small questions as well, right? From book two, like some one-line
Straightforward.
questions, straightforward questions, one-line question, mathematical questions that were easy to tackle. But then I said a few questions that were quite lengthy, like binomial tree, and few others as well. Like you'll have to when you have to get the spot rates, you have to calculate, right? So that was from entirely basic, like solving the entire sum takes around 5 to 10 minutes. So there were
Got it.
lengthy sums as well, but straightforward sums too. It was a mix of both.
And theory was manageable?
Yes, theory was manageable. Like from your recordings, like I mentioned it earlier as well, right? I spent a considerable time watching your recordings, making notes, making sure that my concepts are thorough, right? So I didn't really face any difficulty in terms of theory. Like obviously, a few of them were challenging, just making sure between two MCQ choices which one to choose. But I didn't face any like, major difficulty with the theory.
Got it. Got it. Okay. And when you were preparing, so like you faced the challenge in the book four. So in the actual
Right.
exam also, what was your experience with respect to book four questions?
Um, so I'm glad, I so when I was preparing, when I went to the section wise questions, because I knew book four was kind of new to me, so I started the questions from book four only. Uh, so
Okay.
that way, I was doing war and stress war and solving those numericals initially. Although, like while I was preparing, I did realize that a lot of concepts I need to go back and revise.
Mhm.
So that exercise really helped me because I tackled the thing that I was not really comfortable about, and that eventually helped me
Okay.
in the exam because I had gone through the book four twice or thrice, and I made sure that to attempt all the questions for book four at least. I might have sort of not done something from book two or book three, but I did attempt each and every question from book four, so that really helped during the exam.
Right. And when you came out of the exam, did you face, what was your thought process with respect to, okay, I will get this much correct, or I will get, say, out of 100, 60 correct? What was the number in your mind?
So to be honest, I was confident that I'll get something around 50, 60. I knew that from a GAP standpoint, right, on an average, like scoring between 50 to 60 is considered to be safe. Not really safe on the borderline, to be honest. Like you can expect things to go either way. So I was expecting that I will score around 50, 60. Uh,
Okay.
so yeah, I was 50% confident that okay, I maybe I can pass the exam. So yeah.
And the entire exam, all the questions you were able to connect it back to Swagger. I mean, there was anything outside Swagger?
No, so it was entirely like I was able to connect that.
Okay.
So to be honest, a few of my friends, right? So again, their videos really helped. I talked to a few of my friends who were also attempting the exams. So and they kind of had difficulties connecting me back to Swagger. So one of the things that they told me, but because the videos were
Hmm.
quite explained, and I did spend a lot of time on them, so I didn't really find any difficulties. Like nothing was out
Okay.
of the box for me. Obviously, concepts were like difficult to comprehend, but it was not like something I was reading entirely new, and I couldn't sort of navigate my way through that. So it was all.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when the results came out, 2-1-2-2. So book four, second quartile was really good. That means you had identified the problem, you worked upon it, and
I guess.
you were able
So
to.
sorry to stop you. I guess my quartiles are
Uh,
2-1-1-2. Uh,
oh, okay.
I
Because I
scored. I
I
scored.
had this. Acha, acha, sorry. 2-1-1-2. I
Yeah.
made a mistake. So it
I
is two
might be
one
wrong.
one two.
I might be wrong on my part as well, but as far as I remember, it was 2-1-1. Like I scored one in two, and like second quartile in two subjects and one quartile in two subjects. So that's what I remember. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And then now, when the results are out, your friends and family, what has been the reaction of people around you?
So it's been quite good. So from the employer standpoint of view, like um, uh, they obviously consider this FRM certification to be one of the
Hmm.
most important in MRM division, because it really helps
Okay.
you go ahead. And my friends and family were really happy for me, because it's not an easy exam to pass. Right, it takes a lot of effort and time to sort of clear this exam, and luckily I was able to do it in the first attempt. So that was really great on my part. But yeah, not really getting ahead of myself and making sure to put in the same effort for the part two.
Okay, okay. Now, if I ask you three tips from your own experience on how to clear the FRM exam, what would be that three tips?
So firstly, one thing that really helped me during my preparations was understanding the concept thoroughly. uh,
Hmm.
like treasure is also important, but like you said, like sometimes it's get difficult to connect it back to the treasure. So for that you need to get through the concepts and understand each and everything in a very detailed manner, right? How questions can come across from that particular concept.
Right.
Second would be revision, because the thing is it's such a vast syllabus, right? Around 60 chapters are there. So like I said, I started in November. So the chapter that I read in November and I started revising in March. By that time, I had almost sort of
Forgotten.
forgotten what I studied, right?
Yes.
So making sure that you have a revision plan in place, so that you keep on revising. And the third mistake that I did, was attempting questions. I feel like one should, um, based on the time that they can devote to, one should make sure that they are attempting questions as much as they can. Not only that increases one's confidence, but it also helps in identifying other areas or the way the questions can be asked in the exam.
Got it.
So maybe chapter wise or whatever one find comfortable, but be sure to attempt as many questions as you can. So that also helps.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Samarth. I mean, thank you very much for taking out time and talking to us and giving your experience of clearing the exam and the challenges that you faced. I mean, this interview is going to be really helpful for people because there are a lot of working professionals also who are doing the job and preparing side by side. They might have some background, some might not have background. So
Right.
that experience that you talked about, the way you prepared, the entire approach, I think so this is going to be very, very important for them also, and also a motivational perspective that if you can also clear, somebody who is working can clear, then others can also try and they can also clear the exam. So wonderful, Samarth, and once again thank you very much for taking out time and talking to us, and this interview will be really helpful for our students.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. It was a great opportunity to talk to you.